Okay, Iowa caucuses were yesterday, and Donald Trump won. We're going to talk about why it's not as great as everyone thinks. Don't get me wrong, Donald Trump is still a threat. He is still the front runner, and he won yesterday. But there's some stuff to iron out here too. And I also want to say that Donald Trump is still a threat to democracy. He is still a threat to our way of life, and he should not be taken lightly because of what I'm about to say. We still have to drag Biden's corpse across the finish line, regardless, so we can save the shreds of our democracy that right-wingers have stripped away from us over the decades. So with all that being said, Donald Trump won 50% of the vote in the Iowa caucus. That is not a dominant share. That is one out of every two primary voter in Iowa wanted someone else. That is not a dominant, win here, okay? And you have to remember, primary voters are the hardest of hardcore when it comes to Donald Trump, okay? This is the hardcore base showing up. Primary voters are the hardliners. 1 out of 2 of Republican hardliners in Iowa said no to Donald Trump and voted for DeSantis, Haley, Ramaswamy, and whatever losers that was on the ballot. Okay, but it actually gets worse. 30% of those Iowa caucus voters polled that if Donald Trump gets convicted of a crime, they will not vote for him. 30%, 3 out of 10 Trump voters in Iowa said they will not vote for Trump if he is convicted of a felony. Now, he has 91 federal criminal indictments right now. He's going to get convicted with a handful of them. That's going to happen. It doesn't matter which one. It's going to happen. The odds are very favorable. So that's a very unique insight to how small this win is. It's still a win, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to undercut Trump's win in Iowa. It's just not a dominant win. It's a very vulnerable position this guy is going forward, where the voters of Iowa said, we're not going to vote for this guy if he's criminally indicted. So this is very important information going forward. And like I said at the beginning, don't let your guard down. We still got to drag Joe across the finish line, or whoever it is for the Democratic. It's obviously going to be Biden unless a miracle happens. We have to do that to save our democracy, and we have to do it so we can build on it in the future. So that's just where I'm at. If there's another argument, I'd love to hear it. Third parties are not viable on purpose in this country. They lose because the system's rigged against them. I do not vote third party anymore, even though my heart is in the Green Party. I'm an independent voter. I'm looking at the system. I'm looking at the game that's been laid out before me. And until we can change some things, like campaign finance laws, we have to vote in this god-awful two-party system. Okay, and we have to get Biden across the finish line. It's sad, it's sickening, it's something we have to do, sadly. But Trump's win is not as dominant as what people think. And we have to realize that. We have to realize he is vulnerable. We have to realize, too, we have to show up and defeat Trumpism. We have to show up and defeat Christofascism. We have to show up to save the remnants of a shredded democracy from right-wingers in the Democratic Party and the GOP, okay? Because when you hoard everything in the private sector, the people are going to suffer. 62% of American workers live paycheck to paycheck, okay? They have hollowed out our democracy and created an oligarchy, and we have to save the remnants of our democracy to change this in the future. I'm talking to you, Gen X. I'm talking to you, millennials. I'm talking to you, Gen Z. This is our time now, okay? We have to save it. I know you got to hold your nose and get in there and do it. But if the GOP gets in there and enacts Project 2025, you're going to want to Google that. It's an important one. If Project 2025 is enacted and Republicans get in there again, you're not going to have a democracy. It will be over. They will consolidate the executive branch. There will be no more oversights. There will be no more congressional checks and balances. There will be no more judicial oversight of the executive branch. They're going to reduce all those functions, okay? Unitary executive theory. That's what I'm talking about now. So we have to show up against that. And the only way to do that is to vote for the Democrat and in the future change this party, change the Democratic Party back into what it was in the 20s and 30s, which was a progressive party for working class people, which it isn't right now, okay? But we have to do that in the future. So just remember these things. Let me know your comments down below. I hope you're having a lovely day. Talk to you soon.